Welcome to Never Too Serious with Scott and Dave. I'm Scott.
And I'm Dave.
So Elon Musk has been in the news lately.
Shocker. Is he ever out of the news?
Well, in the Twitter news, too. Did you hear about this?
I did.
Yeah.
He's, sounds like to me, he found an easier way to, have some control over a social media platform.
Instead of creating his own, he
That's just
decided to
shell out
buy
some money. And true or not, but I heard that a handful of people that are, that work at Twitter or that are up there executive-wise are freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, they don't know where's it
should.
going to... Well, they should. I don't know his stance. Frankly, I don't care. All I care is people's actions, truly. But I don't know really where he is politically. I would guess he's leftist, but boy, this guy has a lot of conservative values and care about freedom. And to be honest with you, that freedom should not be a freaking conservative value. It should be an American value. I don't care what side you're on. But these days, there's been a line in the sand. So, but yeah, I see eye to eye on a lot of things that he does. And so what does this show? Is what would a billionaire do?
Well, so he bought. I think they said it was almost 9.2% of the company. He is currently the largest shareholder in the company. That's crazy. It's crazy that anyone can just they have enough money to just do that. But he sold a whole bunch of his stock options recently because you saw he had this massive tax bill, the biggest in history. And that was his income because he doesn't take a salary. So what does he do with it? Well, he expresses his free speech.
Yeah. I can't recall exactly what it's called, but Trump, he tried to do a social media.
Yeah, I think
deal.
He just launched it.
Well, is that right? I thought for some reason it wasn't doing well or wasn't or I guess it takes a while before it could get up and go, and I get that.
I should ask the Google.
Yeah, maybe you should. But, maybe he should go in and buy 9% too. Have those two guys running that place.
Yeah. Trump is, I think, what does he call it? Truth?
Yeah. Something Truth.
Yeah, I think he just launched it.
Okay, well then maybe it's too soon to be finding if it's doing good or bad. I thought I read something saying that it was having issues or something.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he's a kind of a polarizing figure.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a big move for Twitter, especially Twitter.
Well, and he became a board member in part. Part of that deal, I think, is he's not allowed to own more than, I think it's 14% of the company or something.
Really?
Yeah, he's not allowed to.
Well, he'll probably buy up the other, 5% then. I mean.
Well, I think about all of the stuff that he says about free speech and how important free speech is, and he's been kind of vocal about Twitter and them censoring a lot of stuff and thinking that they need to be a little bit more open to it. And now he gets to be in a position of power because now he sits on the board. He owns a lot of the company. And
let freedom ring.
Yeah.
Let people talk. Let people say stupid stuff. Let people say good stuff, say bad stuff. Just let people be people.
Yeah. Well, and Elon Musk, he gets in trouble for saying stuff because he's an influencer on a major scale.
Right.
He says something, and it's so funny because he can say just anything like, hello, and he'll get, hundreds of thousands of people responding immediately to his hello.
Negative or oh, they hate him for it. Did you hear that? They said hello to him. He's up to something. Or the more he's loved, the more he's hated. But that goes for most people in that position. I guess there's not a whole lot of people in that position.
No,
but you know what I mean? People that are, I'll use Bill Gates. I don't like the guy at all. But equally, there's somebody that loves him just as much as I hate him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those three people out there. No, so when you're out in the open like that, you're going to have people. Oh, I guess people hate me too. Love me too.
Yeah. Well, there's just as many of us who love you, Dave.
Yeah. Awesome. The balance is there.
The balance is there.
But yeah, so I think he's doing some good. And I think he's doing some good for even the people that are freaking out. They just don't get it. And if they're freaking out, why are they freaking out?
I think that some people just think that he's evil. I mean, okay, so think about the conspiracy side of so much of the stuff. you know more about, like, you pursue these conspiracy theories a lot more than I do, and so you can
true.
and so you can see, the type of people who pick up on different things, and they kind of take it to an extreme, and folks do that with Elon Musk all the time. I don't know really much about that side of. I just kind of follow with what is newsworthy and what he's been doing.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard some people, like, if he wants to go to Mars, there's people that are haters, like he's doing something evil or something like that. But, the only thing that I really see that's really, I don't even want to say it's negative, but that's odd, is he's just got kind of a strange girl. She's a little bit peculiar.
Are they still married?
I don't know. That's his baby's mama.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I thought he had a bunch of kids too.
Yeah. Well, at least one that I know of, but I haven't deep dived into it. It's kind of like, I'll just use like an actor or actress that I see often in movies, and I might like their movies a lot. I don't care about their personality, or their personal life, I should say. I just want them to be that figure in the movie. So when they want to step out of it and then give us some personal, who they are personally, then they made me go, oh, I didn't like that. Or I like Keanu Reeves. The more he talked, I was like, oh, I like this guy a lot more than I thought I did. And other people like, I don't even care. The rest of them almost, the more they talk, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even watch their movies anymore. So, with Elon, I kind of don't want him to speak too much about things because I like to see what he's doing. I think he's doing a lot for this planet, do I say?
Yeah.
And maybe for another planet. Who says that?
When he starts setting off those nuclear bombs on Mars to create an atmosphere.
Well, if you could do it, I'm not going to say it's a good thing, but he touches every aspect on this planet almost, or can affect it. And he's not just a typical billionaire. I dare say?
Well, I always kind of wonder how he can manage what he does. So I looked up. He's got 7 kids. I think with a couple of different moms. I think.
Yeah, I didn't realize he had that many kids, but
yeah, that's a lot of kids. I mean, I got 2, and they take up,
child
or at
support's
least
got to be a bitch.
and they take up a fair amount of your attention. At least they should. And I have my hands in a lot of different projects right now, and of course, I don't make much money, especially in comparison to Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I don't know how he manages his time. I have listened to different interviews and his podcast appearances, and he says he's super busy, and he doesn't sleep very much. He says he can get away with just a few hours of sleep. I don't know how that's possible and how long that is sustainable. I was listening to the Lex Fridman podcast, and Elon was on there, and it's such an interesting, it's a very like intellectual science, engineering sort of conversation. So you get a different side of what's going on, but then he pokes in a couple of little more personal things, and the way that Musk sort of answers it makes me wonder if he's having to create these separations between his professional business side versus his personal side and his family side, because he seems to handle all of the professional engineering and all these things really, really well, but then you don't hear about any of the other struggles. I was watching it was a documentary on Netflix about the SpaceX, first private rocket to send humans into the International Space Station. Very, very good. In fact, I was just finishing up this morning when we were texting, and they had this question from some interviewer, and asked about his promise that he made to the astronauts' families about their kids and promising to bring their dads home safely.
Right.
And that was a moment where I saw him get kind of choked up on just trying to answer that question, because at that stage the rocket had taken off and they had officially made it into orbit and they were on their way to the space station.
It's a hell of a promise.
Yeah. Well, because he said, this is just one getting off the ground. and safely into orbit is a big challenge, especially because, they're a new company at the time. They had not had a lot of experience in this particular area, and they finally accomplished it. But the mission wasn't over. And so when the reporter asked about this promise from him, he answered it in a way that was kind of like addressing the technical engineering side. And you could tell, and he started to say, I don't know if I can answer your question because I'm getting choked up.
Right.
But you could tell there's this side to him that's got this personal aspect that I don't see very often. And,
well,
as a dad, I respect that.
Yeah, I will say that's a part of me that appreciates him too, is I've seen multiple of his interviews about going into space, and somebody was talking to him about his idols. And which are other astronauts, and they didn't like what he was doing, and it affects it. I like it because he's real. There's other people that can't show emotion because that they believe it takes them off the pedestal that they're trying to be on. But he's a real human being. He has, a disease, Asperger's or something like that, and he's a father. But he's more busy than most of us can possibly imagine. And I wouldn't doubt if he has other people helping out with his.
Oh, you have to,
know. And in fact, I'm sure he has a crew. I was watching it was a good one, actually. I'm sure everybody watched it. The one with Joe Rogan. He was on Joe Rogan when he kind of sort of took a hit of weed. I don't know if he really inhaled that thing, but still. But he had his people. Mind you, there's people that he has hired that apparently go around and the way I see it is feel like it is. It's like how the president has people that make sure you say only these things, make sure you go out this door, make sure that you're not going to speak about this, but make sure that the president is taken care of, right? Or doesn't overstep when he shouldn't. But handlers,
Yeah.
And so I felt that that's who it was, because his phone, I think, if I remember correctly, was blowing up, going, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" Like, you can't be doing that. Oh, great. So it's like, that everybody outside that room is going, "We're going to have to get prepared to to make some, answer to what he's doing." It's like, he's a human being, he can do what he wants, How about that?
That's one of my favorite aspects of Elon Musk, is that he says stuff and he does stuff that if he wasn't the richest man on Earth, my thought is this is how he would normally act.
Well, right. But what's crazy about Elon, why I feel like he stands out also, there's a lot of reasons why he stands out other than all the other billionaires, is what people do with their money. There's a lot of them that get the money and they do things, they might try to make more of it. And I believe, I can't say I know anything, but I believe Elon Musk, of course, wants to keep gaining money because that gives him more power to do things, more avenues. But he wants to do things. He's a doer. He goes out and does things. He comes up with ideas. He wants to make things better. He's not just somebody that's like, "Oh, sure, I'll be a part of that. Oh, sure, I'll put in money, so I'm a part of that now." He's a first for very many things, I mean, I'm not saying this is a first, but he went back and made his boring company. He made his flamethrowers, not the best, but still, I think, but that was on a dare or a bet. I can't remember.
He made, I think it was over $7 million on selling his flamethrower.
But I think that was like a hold my beer thing. Hey, you bet you can't blah, blah. Oh, I'll do it. And he did it, And, I think you have a handful of things you were going to talk about, but, he's actively trying to build underground tunnels for the fastest train, if you will.
You want to see what some of the projects
go into Mars? So yeah, let's go. I want to go over. Let's see what Elon is up to with this $1 billion. His $1 billion.
I don't know the details of all of this stuff, but these are some of the top things that I saw.
We don't have to know the details, but at least tell him what he's up to.
Of course, there's SpaceX. SpaceX is a big deal. Tesla, that's a big deal.
Yes.
Neuralink. Have you talked about? I think we've talked a little bit about that.
Is that the well? So I don't know if it's the same one, but he has some kind of thing he's doing to where it could help keep your personality. It's bizarre.
I don't.
So
I don't know how that, you might have to expand on that.
Well, I can't. I just saw something on it. I can't tell you the details, but I knew there was something to do with he had using like a monkey, and a monkey can do like telepathy almost. And but I thought there was something to do that you could store your personality.
Oh,
something that could take who you are, like maybe your soul, so you could put it into, I don't know, maybe a robot he's building.
Well, he's totally into AI. In fact, I want to say that his Tesla autonomous driving is the most powerful AI currently in existence.
Is that right?
And the most functional as far as recognizing different things. The way that he describes it is crazy. I mean, it's like mapping how humans see things and perceive things and think through things, and how our memory responds to stimuli.
Right.
And he's applying that to his cars.
Well,
but there's more. He's applying it to robots as well.
Right. Like, there's so many other things that I don't think people know that he's a part of. Even, believe it or not, even the tunnels are a huge thing, but still people don't
you think this
of that.
Adds to the conspiracy that he's an evil genius and he's going to destroy the world and replace it with AI?
Well, yeah. And I'll tell you also why, is because he's also the guy that warns people about that. And he's doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
This is going to take over the world. Because that's my plan. No, so, and then they're going to flee to Mars. Because, like you were saying, he has the cars and all the other AI abilities and things that he's doing.
But that Neuralink,
right?
His idea was really to help people who have like physical problems, being able to help them function.
Right.
And if you can connect something to your brain so that your brain can transmit the signals bypassing like your spine and these different areas that would transfer communication from your brain to your body, if you can bypass that with this other system, you can get people to function again. And that's really what the Neuralink is supposed to be doing.
Big deal. I mean, he even talks about how we're already cyborgs. Because only difference is we don't have the phone installed in us, but we always have it at our tips of our fingers. It's always a thing that we use. Where's mine? Oh, it's over actually on the side of the chair over here. It's not in my hand.
I know mine's right next to me too.
I have to make sure it's within grasp, but everybody has it. Everybody has the ability to be located, has the ability to look up any information. The only difference is where I think he's going to bridge the gap, or somebody will, is that you could just think it. You don't have to push. Well, what's the real difference other than it takes the time? Like, I'm just about as smart as anybody because, oh yeah? Beep, 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 beep. That's the answer. Nope, I never took a bit of school for that. If
you can look for it on your phone.
Yeah.
I think that he was mentioning when he was talking about his cars and the autonomous driving is there's so many different engineering challenges with telling a car what exists in the world and how to respond to those things, where humans have this amazing ability to recognize things and translate that into some other action
and ignore the things that aren't important.
And and fill in the blanks with the things that we can't even see. There's a blind spot in our vision, and our brain.
Yeah, that's right.
Our brain will fill in those gaps.
Yep.
That's an amazing thing. So how do you get, a car to be able to do something like that, where you're anticipating what should be there when you can't see it? Here's a description of one of the things that he was, an engineering challenge. He was talking about, if you're driving along the road and you see some pedestrians walking, and then suddenly your vision is obscured by, say, a truck or a bus, but you saw them walking towards the street, and now your sensors don't see them anymore. Your brain recognizes what they're doing and makes an assumption about their intention.
And can even anticipate where they might be if they continue to walk.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so how do you program that into a vehicle where
you have to conjure demons and have it come into its, has to take over a soul.
Then they start hiring an exorcist.
Yep. Well, but no, it's quite amazing. I mean, it's what makes the movie The Matrix so amazing still.
Okay.
Because it makes it seem real, because it's like we're getting there, or we're already there. I don't know. Maybe we've already been there. We've always been there.
Some people say that we're in the Matrix right now.
Yeah. Depends on the color of pill you took. But it's kind of funny how there's a lot of things out there that were movies and they were, on science fiction, and now they're coming.
You made a point earlier about his intention. It's not about making money. It's about making an impact in the world and moving us forward. And it turns out that the money just comes when you're that kind of a person.
Yeah.
And what he's doing in these particular areas, like, okay, so we talk about the Neuralink and the benefit to people who have spinal injuries and, other deformities that are physical problems. And now you can connect directly into someone's brain and support them in living more of a regular life. The other is AI, self-driving cars, doing things that will help humanity put their energies into something else. And SpaceX, getting to another planet to be a multi-planetary species.
Right.
He thinks that this is a terribly important thing, that, he says that we live in this world that's very, very sensitive, and at any time something major could happen. He's talking potentially getting hit by some sort of asteroid or comet or something.
The great earthquake that could blow up all the volcanoes and destroy like this half of the country.
Yeah, there are scars on the earth that have shown that some major things have happened in the past, and life has a tendency to survive, but it's not the same life that we see today. We see dinosaurs in fossil form. We don't see dinosaurs really today, unless you go along with birds or remnants of the dinosaurs. But mammals came out of that. Mammals kind of have taken over the world, and of course, with the humans, we've taken over the world, and that wouldn't have happened unless something major and catastrophic happened to wipe out,
to give way for the rest to
exactly. And what happens if that happened to humans? I mean, we're pretty ingenious as far as survival, but who knows if something was so major that we couldn't make it. So the idea of moving us to another planet and colonizing gives our species an opportunity to continue to thrive, and that's his intention.
Right.
It's not because he wants to make a whole bunch of money selling rides on his rockets.
To make him look like he's cool.
Yeah.
Like you have Jeff Bezos, and I don't. Yeah, he's kind of a showboat.
I don't know enough about him. I mean, I know a little bit about Amazon history, but not much about him personally and his project. But Elon Musk is so much more. I don't know, diversified in the number of things that he's working on. So to continue down my list, of course, there was a company called Solarcity.
I don't know if I've heard of that one.
Solarcity originally was connected to Tesla, and then they got into this major financial problem. I mean, like over $2 billion in debt or something.
Wow.
And Tesla had bought them. And now they're part of this thing they call Tesla Energy. And they do solar panels, but their big thing is these power banks, these big batteries that you can have at your house. And you can charge using solar, and then that power bank can then support your house while the sun isn't shining or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And he's even talked about having his Tesla vehicles be used as power bank. So in case of an emergency and you've got loss of
generator,
that is your power to power your house, which is a crazy thought because I don't know, what kind of power you're getting out of that vehicle.
Well, I'll tell you, it's kind of the same concept. You could still do it now, but back in the day, they had this device you could hook up to your tractors. and you can run your tractors off of diesel, which you could power your house and stuff, like, so that's the new way of thinking there. That's awesome.
Yeah, pretty cool. But these things are, again, it's for humanity. He's not trying to make a buck. He's doing it because he truly believes that what he's working on is a positive benefit to humanity.
Right.
And I want to say that's a relatively rare perspective for someone who's very, very wealthy.
A lot of people are living for the money, and they just want to make more of the money, and maybe they're very successful at it, and they might, jump into some other, businesses because it's something to do, or just to make the money, but there's no strong passion about it. He has passion to do these things, and I don't know where it all comes from. He might be a smart enough guy to go, what did you say? It may not all be all of his ideas, but he's smart enough to go, let's take it and run. Let's do it. And man, we definitely think about what would happen if a lot of those well-to-do, doesn't have to be billionaires, but put their money and efforts into bettering humanity instead of just collecting power,
I wonder about the power, because, okay, I'm not a big fan of politicians. I don't care what party they're a part of. I'm not a big fan of politicians. I kind of struggle a little bit to trust politicians because, well, of what their profession is.
Yeah, exactly.
And their desire for power and control is one of those that's not rooted in, I would say, engineering, brilliance. With like Elon Musk, the things that he knows and understands and is thinking about is totally about helping the masses.
Right.
It's not about grabbing power and then running the show, which is where I think a lot of the politicians come in, where they don't come in with all of the, generally speaking, they don't come in with a bunch of ideas that they can fully implement.
Well, how many politicians do you hear coming up with ideas to help us truly? You know what I mean? They're there to speak out for us, right? But they don't come out there and go, guys, we have a great plan for you guys. This would be awesome for America. No, if they have a plan, it's because somebody came up and paid them money to have a plan. Like a pharmaceutical company. They're not out there trying to make America better. They're sitting there arguing about the same bullshit that they've been arguing about for 30, 50, 100 years.
And it keeps swinging back and forth depending on which party is in power.
To keep them
the power
significant.
Yeah.
To keep that entity significant and there.
Mm-hmm.
Because trust me, I'm a conservative, but I'm frankly, I'm sick of all their asses. There's a lot of guys I hats off to them. They do a great job. I think they're speaking out well for my side of the crew, but I'd rather us not have to have all that crap,
Mm-hmm.
But you can't trust anybody, really.
Thinking about some of the things that Elon Musk has said, I think that he's more libertarian, where he wants government kind of out of stuff. He knows that the government, when they get involved, they don't do a great job. Having entrepreneurs, people who are driven and respond to competition and try and provide something of value to the masses, that's where the real innovation takes place.
Mm-hmm.
And you get government involved, and oftentimes they stifle that innovation. And they put in a whole bunch of artificial hurdles that you have to jump over or around.
And they could take an amazing idea that could help us all out and kill it because it could ruin whatever somebody else's they've been hooked to.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's electricity stuff or power stuff or gas stuff. Like if there was a car that ran out of full water, shut it down. The people here that are running fuel and electricity now, they don't want any part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's rarely for our own best interest. It's for whatever keeps them significant and give them power, I feel.
Another company that he has is the Boring Company.
Yeah.
And
it's okay. Yeah.
Well, we happen to have a town in Oregon called Boring.
Yeah.
And it's not terribly exciting. That's for sure. But with Elon's company, it's about boring tunnels. It's about creating an opportunity to have traffic go through a different place than on the top of our Earth.
Right.
Instead of flying, instead of driving, it's now underground.
And it should travel faster than our planes.
He was talking about one of the first implementations of it was just cutting a commute that's normally 45 minutes into 5 minutes using one of his tunnels. And I thought, gosh, that's so weird to be thinking about it in California, considering the earthquake issues that California seems to have.
Yeah.
How safe is that? Well, evidently,
safer than a bridge, I bet.
Yeah, he's got it figured out. I don't know how that whole thing works, but he's got a current tunnel in I think it's Vegas that people drive through, and it works rather well. I guess the technology that he's using could be implemented in a larger area, and there's some really cool animations where you've got a car drives onto this platform, the platform drops down into the tunnel, and then off they go. And he's got some autonomous vehicles. I mean, of course, the Tesla cars can mostly drive by themselves now. That technology is just getting better and better. But he's got these other vehicles that are not the standard get on the road, but they're like a miniature bus almost.
Yep.
And they get in this tunnel and they just take off, no driver. They just deliver you to the other end in a very, very short period of time. But it's different than like a subway system. And I fully haven't made the connection on how different these things are. What's the benefit between the two? I mean, other than I would probably trust the stuff from Elon Musk than the city of New York.
Yeah, no kidding.
But the cost is, I think he has this ability to reduce the cost in manufacturing and production that I haven't seen in any, well, certainly any government-controlled project.
That's funny, actually.
Of
so, course.
He was talking about how his reusable rockets have reduced the cost of spaceflight. And he's doing that same thing in manufacturing for his cars. He's designing things in such a way, not just for the vehicle itself to make that more efficient, but then the building process, the manufacturing process, the supply chains, the components, where they're coming from, what it takes to put them together.
Remember, people used to laugh at him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody laughs at him anymore. If they decide to chuckle, they're going to go, wait a minute, I'm not going to be that jackass. He's proven things, I mean, anybody that's ever invented anything never hit it the first time. And failed multiple times, hundreds and thousands of times before it found the right, made it right. And man, he's successful. He's not going to stop and give up, and he's going to take those laughter, takes the laughter and fuels him.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's embarrassing to me when I see people laugh at him when he was trying to get SpaceX off and he's trying to land those rockets and they didn't land and they're laughing and making fun of him. I'm like,
mm-hmm.
What are you doing? What are you failing at today? Because his failures are more significant than what you call doing something good.
The Netflix special on SpaceX was talking about those rockets,
mm-hmm.
and they were making the case that when NASA was building rockets and flying into orbit, they didn't test things in such a way where they would blow up and they'd learn a bunch of lessons like SpaceX does. They would overly engineer and calculate and theorize and do all of these things to try and figure out how to not let that mistake happen. And there's a huge cost to that. And it took them a long time to learn stuff.
But that's when you learn a lot.
Exactly. And that was SpaceX. Their philosophy was, we know that we're going to lose a bunch of rockets because of these things. And in fact, we're going to destroy many of them to figure out how to correct and how to mitigate these issues.
Right.
I was watching them use. So one of the things that they were concerned about was in some of the space shuttle flights, there were major catastrophes. Was it Challenger that took off, blew up on takeoff, killed the teacher and some others? When that happened, there was no way for the space shuttle to separate from the boosters. Once that explosion took place,
they were doomed.
They were done. Yep. There's nothing that you could do. And so one of the things they did with this rocket, the Dragon, was it capsule that they put on top of the big old booster, is they created an ejection component to it.
Huh.
And so they launched this thing up into the air with the intention of blowing up that booster. And based on this test, they could eject that capsule off the end and save the crew while the rest of it was going up in flames.
That's pretty awesome. I didn't know that.
It's a really incredible, it's an incredible sight to see, because it took off like a rocket off the end of a rocket. Really? It was really cool. Yeah, just kind of ejected, everything separated, and then that thing
it away from the situation.
Exactly.
0. Ignition. Liftoff. Semper Fi. Aim high. Go Falcon. Go Dragon.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
T plus 30 seconds. Falcon 9 with the Crew Dragon capsule is heading east from pad 39A. Everything looking good right now. As we get ready for max dynamic pressure, we are now throttling down the first stage engines on the Falcon
power
9.
And telemetry nominal.
Everything continues to look good. We're approaching the period of maximum dynamic pressure.
Vehicle is supersonic and passing through maximum dynamic pressure.
You've heard we're supersonic. We're through max Q. We're getting ready now to throttle the engines back up on the first stage.
Stage 1, throttle up.
There's the call out. Okay, the major activity coming up in just over 10 seconds. Shutdown and Dragon escape from the Falcon 9.
Miko.
Dragon launch escape initiated.
Dragon's away.
Back to making fun. There's, scary as it is, because, we all have often joked about Kim Jong-un failing on his rockets. Well, guess what he's doing? He's learning.
Mm-hmm.
He's learning a lot, too, because he fails a lot. But, if they keep going and I haven't heard anything about that lately, obviously. But that was just kind of another point of, even I don't know if I've laughed at him necessarily, but I've pointed out his failures in what he's doing. But if he keeps trying, he's going to be successful.
Failure is good if you use it as a learning opportunity.
Absolutely. And every failure is an opportunity to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes, you do things intentionally to try and make something fail, and then you get to watch how all the components function within that failure.
That's right. That way you know what to do before it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And Elon, when you had mentioned that somebody asked, hey, you can bring back his dad or his parents, and he's the guy that really cares. I'm not going to say names because I don't know their names, but there's people that launch people up and they just care about the mission. Those are expendable.
Mm-hmm.
And he wants it all he's a passionate, down to earth human being.
You and your jokes.
Yeah, I'm really good at it too. But you and I were chit-chatting a little bit before the show, and we're talking like, man, people are going to look back at him like 100 years from now. Like, let's say after he's passed away, 100 years later. Well, I'm sure he's going to fix that too. But
with his neural linkage.
Yeah, but the what he's done for humanity, or even attempted, let's say he attempted everything and failed, they will always be talking about all the things, the steps that he took, the guy that that wanted to go to Mars. You know, I mean, people talk about Tesla. What's his full name? Not your car, but the electric dude.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name? I can't remember.
See, as soon as you say that, then I suddenly get a brain blockage.
Good. I did it on purpose, so I'm not the only one. But anyways, Nikola Tesla.
Yeah.
He did amazing things, and that's a good one we should chit-chat about because there's a lot of conspiracy theories about what happened. Did you know his theories get swept away, taken away, silenced? You know, because we all talk about Tesla and people build off of what he had
the research
worked on. And what would have been like if we just jumped into his plan, you know, and he got to do what he wanted to do. So I think that no matter what at this point, even if Elon goes, you know what, I'm just going to buy an island or 3 and just hang out there, not talk or do anything else with him, shutting it all down. Hundreds of years from now, we're going to remember him for the stuff that he attempted or successfully did at this point in time. I think it's too late for him to get erased off the history books.
I think that there's always this mental challenge with brilliant people, and I think the history books will probably reference some of these things as part of his failures, but I really think ultimately his failures were so important to his successes.
Oh, yeah.
And if he, I mean, whatever mental health issues he might have, and then the struggles of balancing personal and professional life, I think he's done an incredible job with balancing and pursuing and turning these great stresses and failures into huge successes.
Yeah, and he's not done.
And and we haven't seen the end of it yet. I mean, if he is physically healthy for years to come, we're going to see him celebrate his company getting humans successfully
SpaceX
onto
is
Mars.
Just launched. You know what I mean? It's
it's
a baby right now.
Yeah.
It hasn't been around for freaking 40 years for it to be the best it could be. And he's not 80 years old. I mean, granted, I hope he does get some better sleep. And I hope he does, because I know all these guys, I don't care which one they are. If you're making billions of dollars, you're stressed out, man. And I hope that, I don't care how you look, that stress can get you. Well, so I really hope that he can manage his issues and enjoy life so he can prolong his life.
Well, I think your point though about his age is important. He's still young. I think he just turned like 50 recently.
Yeah, we're about the same age.
Yeah, and I know with my energy level, it's starting to wane a little bit, and so I have to do a little bit more adjustment in my personal life to then have the energy to do the things that I think are fun and creative and worth something. But he's no longer, the young 20s, 30s, and 40s Elon Musk. He's a guy that's got to start balancing the natural tendency to age and slow down with what he wants to do.
Yeah, maybe it'd be interesting to see what he adds to his portfolio of things he's going to do, or if he's just going to kind of narrow it down and focus on some of everything he does is big. But
I think he's still the chief engineer at SpaceX. That blows me away, because that's someone who has to sign off on everything.
Have to be there.
And you have to be there, and you have to be...
calls people in at 3 a.m. Let's go. We got to have this meeting that he just had a thought, and everybody has to gather.
Yeah, well, and he has to understand this stuff. It's not like he's... it's not like he's the guy in charge and he knows nothing about what his teams are doing. He knows what the teams are doing, and that's just at one company.
Right, and he could actually suggest something that could help and work in their whatever they're working on.
Yeah.
No, he's not just owning a company. He's participating in the company.
Yeah. So before we close out the show, question about this. So I'm kind of curious from your perspective with the stuff that Elon Musk is doing. How do you get to be in the positions that he's been in like practical terms for like the regular people. I mean, what are the life lessons we can take from Elon Musk and his life?
Well, one of the simpler ones, and I already touched base on a little bit, is there's a lot of bullies out there, and there's a lot of people that make fun of what you try to do. And you know, I'm going to use this as an example. You know, maybe people have given us crap for wanting to start our podcast.
Yeah.
And I say, you know, forget those people, or maybe don't forget those people. Use that as your fuel to do it. That's one thing I love to talk about him, is that don't give up your soul. Still have a heart. Still feel emotion, and don't let people bring you down and stop success, because most of those people that want to bring you down is because they can't achieve what you're achieving, and they don't want to have somebody above them, in a sense. So that's always something that's really stood out for me. If anybody could take away from him, and be relentless and just drive for what you believe in, because he's achieved greatness. I try to do that with my life. I don't have such huge aspirations, apparently, but I still have to strive to get through my difficulties and issues so I can achieve what I want to achieve, and I don't want to give up either. Even if some people clown on me for wanting to get in a different position at work, you know, but it's what I want to do, and I just, you know, I think people should just go with it. I mean, this is the only life you have. You need to make it work, and he's making it work. And he's making it work for humanity, not just for himself. He's not a selfish guy. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I think you're spot on. I think for me, practical stuff is learning to focus a little bit more. I don't have the skills that Elon has for diversifying my attention. I think for me, it's finding a few things that I can put some effort into and pursue those with you know, intensity, just like you're talking about. Not listen to the haters so much. Learn a little bit from them, but not let them pull you down.
Yep. So. Haters are another rocket that didn't land. Something to learn. You can learn from it, you know. But yeah.
Okay. We'll leave it at that. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome. Thanks for listening. You can catch our show on several different places: Spotify, YouTube, Rumble. Pretty much anywhere you get your podcast.
That's right.
We'd appreciate it if you could spread the word, tell a friend. We'd love to grow the audience. More information on our website
at nevertooserious.com.
And follow us on social media at the NTS Podcast. That's Twitter, Gettr, and Parler. And until we see you next time, take care.
And be safe out there.